All right, y'all. I'm gonna be straight with you. I called it. I straight up called it. I wish I really didn't call it because this is one of those situations where I don't want to be right. I wish I was wrong, but I knew that all of this was going to go down long before it was ever announced. What am I talking about? Stay tuned and find out. Yep, that's right. Know exactly what we're talking about today. The whole layoff situation, the Destiny 2 spinoff being canceled, no Destiny 3, the whole 9 yards. We're talking about that today. Let's go over each of them one at a time, however. And then I'm going to give some thoughts as to how I believe they could solve this entire situation and see what you guys think from there. Now, you don't have to agree with what I have to say. This is all opinion based. But again, we're going to go over it and we're going to discuss it. And then I'm going to give my final thoughts afterwards. So let's talk about the spinoff. So we already know that the spinoff that they were supposed to be doing, that was supposed to be a third person shooter that was very similar to Warframe, the First Descendants, all that other stuff that was based in the Destiny world, they were in big quotation marks and big brackets going to work on this project and make that happen. However, it's got canceled, straight up canceled. Like, not even going to be remotely debating of bringing it back at any point, anytime soon. This is a well and done. It's canceled, not going to happen anymore. It's done and over with. It's straight up just gone. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go in any further on that because that in particular, I had a feeling was not going to happen to begin with. But the fact that it got canceled because of these layoffs, or let's just be honest, they got fired. They got fired, not laid off. Laid off means that you have a potential of coming back. Fired is the more broad term that these people actually received. Okay. So these people were terminated or from Bungie after everything was said and done of that they didn't receive enough funds after the final shape launched. Like, they legitimately did not receive enough funding after it launched and everybody was playing it and so on and so forth. So they fired people, right? Here's my problem with that, right? Is that first off, this whole thing could have been avoided had you gotten rid of the one person that's in your company that is the reason for you losing money in the first place. And thankfully, there have been talks of that's exactly what's happening, is that individual will potentially be leaving soon because they've already let go two of the most valiant people in the company. And this guy that I'm talking about, I'm not going to mention his name, but being the head honcho, we'll leave it at that, the head over everything, is probably also going to be leaving and being replaced by another individual who I will not mention his name because I honestly don't want to get into any infringements or anything like that. But the other person that they're wanting to replace the first guy with is somebody who works for Sony and has made some of the best AAA games in Sony's industry. Stuff like what was it? The Horizon Zero Dawn and the second Horizon Zero Dawn. You know, like a bunch of these other AAA games that have received excellent ratings. So the first guy that's leaving being replaced by this other person who has made these games that have won awards, made great AAA games by Sony, I couldn't be happier. I could not be happier because if that's exactly what happens, if they were to replace the original CEO of Bungie with this new guy from Sony that has made some of the best AAA games in Sony's industry and PlayStation has to offer, I couldn't be more thrilled. Now, I will say this on the other hand, that if you bring that individual in to replace the current CEO of Bungie to work on the future of Destiny and go from there, I would highly suggest that you bring back those other people that you've terminated and give them their jobs back. Because let's face it, it wasn't their fault that you didn't make enough money in order for you to be financially stable and for you to pay your employees. It was the CEO's job to do that. And what does he normally do? He goes and takes that money and blows it on cars. He literally blows this money literally on cars like it's GTA 5, and he has to go in and buy the best car with the best setup in order for him to go in and do his heists. Like, seriously. Like, I say this as a joke, but it's also serious at the same time. This man has spent more money from the Bungie expansions buying fancy equipment, fancy cars, and whatnot than honestly anybody I've ever seen in my entire life. So he deserves to be let go. Straight up let go. Not even a well, let's go and discuss you being laid off and potentially coming back. No, this man deserves to be fired. Straight up fired and replaced by the man who they are wanting to replace him with that currently works for Sony and has made some of the best AAA games that Sony has to offer. Period. Case in point. Now, after all of that is said and done, I'm going to now get into the thing that I have been constantly asked every time I go live. Destiny 3. I knew from the very beginning, from the very start, that Destiny 3 was not being worked on. I even said multiple times, I've said it on this channel, I've said it on my TikTok, I've said it on multiple different platforms. And anybody who is a regular here can vouch for this. I made it well known that if Destiny 3 was to ever happen, big if, both letters capitalized and quotation marks around the word if Destiny 3 was going to ever be published and ever be brought up and made at all, we would not get our first announcement for Destiny 3 until 2026. At the earliest. The earliest. Right? We would not get a single announcement for it until then. And if we did get an announcement for it, we wouldn't see the actual Destiny 3 game until 2030 at the earliest. Earliest 2030. That's a big if. But this right here confirms that. It literally makes it to where that there is absolutely zero chance, that they are going to work on a Destiny 3 franchise for the Destiny platform through Bungie as of right now, if at all. Do I think that they're actually going to go through with Destiny 3? Absolutely not. I do not. I don't think that they are going to go in after this whole fiasco that has just happened to go in and create Destiny 3 until they can figure out what it is that they need to do in order to bring their platform back. Because let's face it, after these layoffs and after all of the money that was spent on the CEO because he blew all of the money that was given to them, and then on top of that, that $3.6 billion that Sony goes in and pays Bungie to go in and go in and work on these games, and what they decide to do with it is blow it all on other games that have nothing to do with their biggest franchise in the Bungie universe. And instead they go in and spend all that money on new projects that is not ever going to be released ever. It's basically you just took their money and blew it all on fancy toys that you don't even get to play with because of the fact you're already bored with it. When what you should have done is you should have invested that money into the thing that's making you the most money right now, which is Destiny. It's case and facts. Destiny is what made them all of their money. They made more money on Destiny franchise than any other game in their category under Bungie except Halo. Halo is the closest that they have ever gotten to being on par with Destiny, money wise, financial wise. Halo was so close to beating Bungie, it's not even funny. But literally Destiny 2 and Destiny 1 both have made more money than any other game in the entire franchise except for Halo, and Halo comes in a very, very, very close second. Straight caps. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But there won't be a Destiny 3. I've said it multiple times, and I'll continue to say it. And if by some miracle, some miraculous event where every single one of the gods in the entire universe decide to come down and rain upon Bungie and say, hey, you know what? We're going to bless you one more time. And what you do with this is that you should go in and create, in big brackets, Destiny 3. If that ever happened and they announced that they're working on Destiny 3, I promise you, I guarantee you, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We won't see a single thing for Destiny 3, if at all, until 2030. At all. Period. And that's assuming the fact that what I'm about to show you next keeps Destiny 2 alive. Because what I'm about to show you next is literally what they're planning for the future of Destiny 2. This was released August 3rd, which is today, 2024, at 9:01 a.m. Okay. This is the further clarity on Destiny 2 Frontiers, Destiny 3, and the state of Bungie. It's literally an article that's discussing the plans of what's going to happen with Destiny 2. In the wake of Bungie's mass layoffs and transfer of roles to Sony, the future of Destiny 2 and other projects remains unclear. Literally, the first sentence remains unclear. Now, they go in to talk about further reporting has dug into what precisely is what's going to happen next, whatnot. And here's the future plans for Destiny. The larger content packs, not DLCs, content packs, not true expansions, will contain familiar elements like new destinations, raids, and campaigns, just on a much smaller scale as a whole. Shadowkeep is the basic size that they're looking at, but not a full campaign storyline, not like Shadowkeep. They're going to make a dumbed down version of Shadowkeep from now on. It's supposedly replayable, has unique activities, and is essentially going to leave the system, meaning the solar system, and go to different worlds. We don't even know if it's free yet or not. We don't know if it's going to be paid or if it's free. Now, this part right here is the free part. Starting with Frontier's launch, there will be a main release of a given year, and then 6 months later, there will be another pack of smaller content that's more along the lines of what we got with Into the Light. So they'll be releasing a bunch of these smaller packs that was very similar to Into the Light here, and those will be free. This is what's going to be free to all the players. We don't know about this yet, but we do know about this. Now, between those, on the first two categories, we'll continue to get episodes, but the scheduling is not clear. It's not been given out and laid out. We only know of the first 3 acts. That's all we know. And that's it. After that, we don't have a clue what's going to happen. Now, the rest of this goes on to talking about hobby, bringing Destiny to a more hobby aspect than an actual in-depth aspect like it's always been. Now, here's the canceled projects of Destiny 3 and all that other stuff. Payback was canceled, which is the third-person spin-off shooter that I was talking about earlier. That got canceled. The MOBA that they were creating also canceled. Here's the Destiny 3 one in big bold brackets. Destiny 3 was and is considered too big of a risk in the current market. Meaning that, as I've already stated before, Destiny 3 will not happen, if at all, until 2030. Because they can't afford to go in and pay to have Destiny 3 created after their CEO blew all of their money on junk, on crap. Literal crap. So the idea was to split up Destiny as an IP into more manageable components. The PvE portion we have now, continuing in D2, Payback for an adventure genre expansion, a mobile Destiny, blah, 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 3v3 Crucible game channeling trials. None of that is happening. None of it. Not a single one of it is being done. Now, I'm going to go in and we're going to end this entire session because it would take me all day if I were to constantly sit here and talk about the ins and outs of what's going on here. But we got the brief rundown here, and I'll put the links down in the comments below so you can go check them out. But I'm going to give you what I honestly believe would be the best way to fix this entire scenario. The one thing that literally would save Bungie and the Destiny franchise entirely, to the point that not only would you have new players who would absolutely get a kick out of this, but you would have returning players, people who have literally trash talked the game for years, would come in and play this game again if this happened. Straight up would come back and do this. And this would be the one and only way that I honestly believe that you could save this franchise of Destiny 2 and potentially lead into Destiny 3 if that was ever going to be your plan. And it all started with this creator right here, Sticky. I have been following Sticky for a long time now. He is a lore god when it comes to Destiny, but something that he posted the other day when all of this happened just absolutely makes sense, and I'm going to go further into it. So, Sticky, I am giving you your promotion now. I am giving you your little plug-in on this. So, if anybody watches this, go check out Sticky and see his content. And Sticky, if you happen to see this, this is all on you, my friend, and I so appreciate what you did here.
Bungie, you have 2 realistic options right now, and neither of them are going to be fun. The Destiny 2 brand is kind of tarnished, I'm not gonna lie. And honestly, it's been kind of tarnished for years. Now, I love Destiny and I want Destiny to succeed. But Destiny 2 is known for its 1 step forward, 2 steps back that we've been dealing with since day 1. You need a fresh start. And your 2 options are either Destiny 3 or Destiny Definitive Edition. Either you make one game with the actual foundation that can support all the content and you put most of Destiny 1 and most of Destiny 2 in the same game and then build off of that. That way it is a new rebranding of the franchise that you can take that game forever. Everybody can regrind their stuff. It's not that big of a deal. Just bring over the cosmetic stuff that people paid for and rebrand your game. Your other option is Destiny 3. Fresh start, good foundation, none of the baggage that Destiny 2 has had, built off of some of the stuff that's happened the last couple of years in Destiny, and just have a fresh start for the players and for yourself. You are now owned by Sony. Sony has studios that come in to supplement developer manpower. Sony wants their studios to succeed. We want Destiny to succeed. I really don't see a way that Destiny 2 can keep going. It was never built to last this long. Marathon is not going to save anything. People may enjoy it. It may have a good player base. I don't know. I don't play extraction shooters. But your number one priority needs to be fixing Destiny. Fixing the reputation of Destiny. Keeping the players and the community of Destiny happy. Bungie, you...
So, based off of what he just said, that what Sticky has just brought forth to all of us is he gave off a notion that in order to save the Destiny franchise and save Bungie from this whole scenario is two options. Destiny 3, which we've already talked about, that I honestly believe they will not do at all, but if by some miracle they do happen to do it, we won't see it until 2030. However, there was one thing that he mentioned that I honestly straight up believe would be the absolute defining moment to save the entire franchise at the quickest possible notion imaginable. Destiny Definitive Edition. And what I mean by this, and what Sticky means by this, is how he explained to convert Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 together into a singular game. One game where you can play through the entire Destiny 1 franchise, all the DLCs, everything. Convert all of that and bring it into Destiny 2 and be able to start from Destiny 1 the entire all the way through from New Light all the way to Rise of Iron, and then be able to do all, not a few, all of the DLCs Destiny 2 has ever offered, all the way back to Red War, all the way back there. Bring back all of those and give the players what they want to be able to experience the full layout of the Destiny franchise in its own unique package, the Destiny Definitive Edition, where you can go in and play every single one of the DLCs, all of the story from start to finish, from the very first campaign in Destiny 1 all the way to Final Shape. Literally do that, and I promise you, you would be surprised how much this community would be willing to spend if that were to ever happen. And I'm going to delve it further into exactly how you can do this right now. Call of Duty did it best. Call of Duty did exactly what Destiny should do right this minute. They created an application on all consoles called Call of Duty Headquarters. Literally, one app that portrays all of their games. All of them. Modern Warfare 3, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops, freaking every single Call of Duty game that you can think of the recent years is found here. Literally. You can do all of their campaigns all the way back to one of the oldest ones you can do. I think it's the furthest one you can do is either Ghost, Call of Duty Ghost, or it's I can't remember the one that came after that. But regardless of that fact, they have all of them here in one application. And if you tell me that you can't do it, I'm going to explain how you can. Call of Duty Headquarters may be a very large application to download, especially when you have multiple Call of Duty games to put into one platform, but there is one singular way that you can do it. One way that would make this absolutely guaranteed where that you can download the definitive edition and still be able to play the game without losing a lot of memory. Separate the campaign, the PvE aspects from PvP. Create two different apps. You have the Destiny Definitive Edition, which is its own unique application similar to Call of Duty Headquarters that has all of the campaigns in 60 frames per second. So Destiny 1 would be updated to 60 FPS. So you would convert all of Destiny 1 to 60 frames per second with all of the DLCs updated to the latest and greatest that we can offer in technology. Have all of that done in one application, the Destiny Definitive Edition, on one app, on one application, just like Call of Duty HQ. Have all of that laid out for you, all the way from Destiny 1, all the way through Destiny 2, from the very first vanilla campaign all the way to Final Shape, all in one singular spot. But then on PvP aspects, so you have like Gambit, Crucible, stuff like that, have its own application. And why do you ask me on that part? Because Call of Duty did it too. Call of Duty separated their battle royale in a completely different application because they knew that if they put the battle royale in the same application as Call of Duty Headquarters, that the application itself would be too big for you to be able to download. So they separated the two out. They separated the campaign and the smaller maps of like Team Deathmatch, the hardcore quick play, war mode. They put all of that into this application because it's smaller data, smaller usage. But the Battle Royale uses a lot more memory, uses a lot more download, whatever the case may be. It requires a lot more. So they separated the two out. Do the exact same thing here. Have a Destiny where that it literally is only the campaign and Nightfalls, and maybe stuff like I don't know, the 30th anniversary stuff, like the Xur stuff, right? Have all of that stuff in one application. But then put PvP in its own category, its own separate application. Separate the two out. And by doing so, not only could you make it to where that you can transfer your equipment using applications like DIM from the PvE application to the PvP application and make multiple builds, one for PvE and one for PvP, and transfer your stuff over using applications like DIM to create multiple different layouts, one layout for PvP and one for PvE. Not only could you do that, but you could go as far as to say that you could invest more into PvP and do stuff like battle royales or more maps for PvP or whatever you wanted to do. And I'm saying all this because exactly what Sticky said, that Sony wants you to succeed. They are willing to give you the man labor to go in and create stuff like this, to be able to implement more advanced technology and more advanced ways of doing the game that you've already created. All you have to do is do it. And by doing it this way of separating PvE from PvP into two separate applications and bringing back all of the older content all the way back to Destiny 1 in the vanilla campaign, all the way through Final Shape, and make all of it 60 frames per second, and put it all in one application so that all new lights can come in and play the entire storyline from start to finish and not ever have to touch PvP if they don't want to. However, then those PvP players that only play Destiny for PvP would have their own separate application that they could go in and play whenever they want to, and their progress that's in PvP could be transferred over into PvE just by using an application like DIM. Would be phenomenal. It would be the absolute pinnacle of Destiny franchise in the existence of Bungie itself, in my opinion. Straight up, this would be a game changer. This would make it to where that you, as the Bungie franchise, could literally change the entirety of Destiny altogether and make it to where that you can once and for all get the financial means that you need in order to bring back those players that you lost and be on a fresh new start to be able to potentially bring in Destiny 3 at a later date. This would solve all of it. All of it. But I digress. This is only an opinion. This is only an idea. This is only a thought. Whether this is ever implemented or not mine to say. This is just something that I have been thinking about for a very long time. And the fact that other creators are making the same comments that I have been thinking of for years just further proves that this needs to happen. This needs to be done. But it is what it is. Nothing I can do about it. Hopefully Bungie will see this. Hopefully Bungie will get it through their heads that something needs to happen, some form of change. Maybe this is the change that they need. Maybe this is the change that we all deserve and are wanting of in order to keep the Destiny franchise alive. But that's it for me, guys. I will see you in the next one. And let's hope that the next video is more less depressing. Bye, guys.